Every year, tech companies tell us the same story. This is faster, this is smarter, this is the next huge upgrade. But if we're being honest, most new tech doesn't actually feel like an upgrade anymore. And that's not an accident. Here's the lie that modern tech companies tell you without you even thinking about it. Modern tech upgrades are designed to look impressive on a spec sheet, not to meaningfully change how you use the product. And once you see it, then you just can't unsee it. Let's start with the most ubiquitous piece of tech that you own, your phone. Every year we get slightly better cameras and slightly faster chips and slightly brighter displays. And companies sell us on these new phones not because we're going to use them any differently, but because on paper they look more technically impressive than last year. Because let's be honest, would a phone from 2 or 3 years ago actually get in the way of you doing anything? For most people, the answer is no. Calls, messages, social media, photos, video, everything's gonna work pretty much the same. Take Apple's iPhone lineup as an example. The first few generations of the iPhone introduced the App Store, 3G networking, FaceTime, multitasking, all features that legitimately affected how you use your device. But let's compare that to Apple's current line of iPhones. First, you have the entry-level iPhone SE, the most basic iPhone that you can buy. Then you have the regular iPhone 17, the iPhone for the everyday user. And finally, you have the iPhone 17 Pro, which is for who exactly? Apple apparently wants you to think the iPhone cameras are for actual video professionals, but anyone who actually shoots films for a living isn't using an iPhone unless they specifically want to challenge themselves. No. The Pro iPhones are for the consumer that just wants the phone that's most impressive on paper. The best of the best, even if they'd use a normal iPhone in exactly the same way. And look, I'm not saying that the Pro iPhones aren't actually better than the normal iPhones because again, technically they are, but are they better in a way that will actually change how you use the phone on a day-to-day basis? And do any of these new iPhone models actually do something that you couldn't on, say, an iPhone 11? Okay, so if you don't buy my phone example, let's move on to another category. Let's say you're in the market for a new computer. I'm going to describe two kinds of people, and I'm going to argue this is going to describe about 80% of the consumer market. The first kind of person wants a laptop that can do web browsing, some basic graphic design or word processing, and just normal things like that. And the second kind of person wants a gaming PC. So let's go shopping with person one first. Immediately, we're bombarded with an overwhelming amount of choice. What operating system do you want? What kind of processor should you buy? Should you get an integrated or a dedicated graphics card? What size of laptop do you need? Do you want a high refresh rate or maybe even an OLED screen? Should you buy new or used? But do you see the problem? Buyers start to ask these questions without even thinking about why they're asking them, because what they're really doing is building a spec sheet. Now person one gets overwhelmed because they don't know what a whole lot of that even means. And then they just go and buy the first laptop they see at Best Buy, or they just get the new MacBook Air. And look, they're gonna be happy with it, and there's nothing wrong with those laptops. But don't you see what actually is happening here? When we make tech upgrades just about building the most impressive spec sheet, then we start to alienate the casual user. And then that kind of person is just gonna buy purely based off of brand recognition. Now let's talk about person two. Person two isn't new to computers. They know every part number from every company, they've built several gaming PCs already, and they've probably tried to help many person ones in their own lives buy their own computers. I am a classic example of person two. And look, I don't have a problem with getting overwhelmed with spec sheets. In fact, I really enjoy them a lot. But the problem I have is the same as I would have with buying an iPhone. Sometimes I just want the best thing because it's the best thing. There's just something satisfying about knowing that my gaming PC just looks really impressive on paper. And of course, it can run all the games that I want, but the reality is, I could have just gotten a PC for half the price, turned down the settings a little bit, and had a very similar experience. See, on both ends of the spectrum, we've been told the same lie, that tech upgrades aren't about changing how we use the product, but how impressive they look on paper. Headphones, mice, keyboards, cameras, you guys probably get the point, so I'm not gonna stay on this point for too long. It doesn't really matter that Sony's noise-canceling headphones are 5% better than their previous generation, or that Razer's new mouse has a slightly higher polling rate. You're still gonna use these same accessories to do the exact same things. And again, from a technical perspective, they're very impressive, but on a day-to-day basis, all these products are going to do the same stuff. So why is this happening? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Tech has just matured. We're no longer in an era of massive leaps forward every single year. We're in the era of optimization and refinement and marketing. And companies have to keep selling you a reason to upgrade even if the experience isn't going to justify it. And look, there are some new and exciting technologies like AI or augmented reality, and those might dominate the coming decades. But in terms of the products that we've all gotten used to, phones, computers, headphones, not a whole lot is just changing year over year. And this is already starting to have an impact on the tech landscape. People are keeping their phones for longer or not feeling a need to upgrade their laptops, or they just buy used or refurbished tech in the first place. And it's not because people don't like new tech, it's because the value equation has changed. So now we have a unique opportunity to deprogram this lie that we've been fed. The lie that these tech upgrades are more about the spec sheet than your daily experience. I think there's a simpler way to think about upgrading your tech from this point on. And it will not only ensure that you save money on pointless upgrades, but it also will ensure that you don't miss out on what actually is the next big thing. Before you buy something, just ask yourself, if I buy this product, what are the things that I can do after I buy it that I couldn't do right now? If there isn't a good answer to that question, then you could probably skip that particular device. But let's say it's something like the new prototype augmented reality glasses, and you really just want to get on that first gen hype train, well fine, then you are more than welcome to do that, because that's going to bring new functionality into your life, and that's worth getting excited about. And look, I understand this video is not giving you any earth-shattering information, but it's just important for us to snap out of it every once in a while. This is the truth that all of us know already, but it just gets drowned out by all the incessant advertising from big tech. Once you start thinking this way, then we can recapture what tech is actually meant to be. It's not a spec sheet, it's not a marketing ploy, but it's a tool that allows us to do things that our ancestors could never have even imagined.